You're talking about walking in the supermarket and the music's playing, or any of the stores. You're talking about watching the news and it starts with music and ends with music. You're talking about, when you talk about music, watching even a documentary on wildlife and the lions chasing the gazelle and it has music. And I think to myself, sometimes the music goes up and imagine how boring that would be. But you're talking about all that, if you're going to say haram, includes all those situations and more when you say haram. Funny thing is that, including Khalid Bey and others, they even then go on further to say, because if they make music haram, they'll say, therefore beatboxing, which is making music. I can understand if they're going to say, yeah, I would agree with them, because otherwise they would be playing tricks. There are those who say, well, as you know, there are those who, from the Shia singing, they thought, we'll make it Islamic, we won't have real musical instruments, I'll do it with my mouth. That just goes back to the same idea of singing. Singing has melody, and so do instruments, music have melody. So you can't use the issue of, and this is one of the things he uses, and others like him, which I found really distasteful, from ulama scholars use, the idea of tarb. If it has melody, then it is haram. If it has melody, it is haram. So we allow singing, but it mustn't have melody. And we don't have instruments because it has melody. Duff, we'll allow it, it hasn't got much melody. Right? It's a silly argument. So again, the idea is beatboxing, making music with that, would also become under haram as well. And funny thing I found with many of these brothers, I'm not going to use the term for their mother or whatever, but you know, their program come on, they say music is now, and introduction into a YouTube video is a musical singing, it's melody, you know. And they're saying on their video, music and singing is haram. I think, you know, your introduction itself, you must make haram as well then, before the program comes on. Anyway, so when we say music, we have to include all those situations that we find ourselves steeped in, actually. That's how we find ourselves. So you'd have to, in that sense, be committing haram all the time. All the time. That's the consequence of when you say. That's not the reason for not making it haram. I'm just putting the scenario to you. The consequence of saying this is haram, this is what it means for us all. Secondly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, going back to what I said earlier, created for us sight, vision and hearing. And also created in the nature for us to look at beautiful things and listen to beautiful things. We like to hear, it's a blessing, isn't it, from Allah? I like to hear the stream and the birds sing, a nice voice which is melodious. Prefer that than the shouting and screaming like my lecture now. It's not melodious, is it? So I don't want to. I could sing it to you, I suppose, but I'm not going to. That would be really controversial, wouldn't it? So we like to hear that, and therefore the Quran says, "Inna ankara al-aswati la sawtul hamir." Showing that the worst of sounds is that of a donkey brain. Poor donkey. But it's not donkey that we have to go and kill it because it's brain. Don't get that idea. But you compare the donkey brain to a bird singing and the lark singing. Yeah, there's a world apart. Okay? So Allah blessed us with hearing, not to shut it. Yeah, anything to do which sounds nice. Okay? And hence, even the Quran, as I was saying to the brothers here, and I'll mention this verse, that the Prophet ﷺ, in many authentic hadith, more than one, he said, "Zayyinul Quran bi aswatikum." Beautify the Quran with your voices. That's not only for males, by the way. As we often take it with that male chauvinism. Oh, that's for males. Women, we can't hear them. Some of them, they said, there's no difference between a woman singing a song, whatever it is, and reciting the Quran. Where did that nonsense come from? Because, you know, the men can get sexually attracted even when she's reciting the Quran. The problem's in the male who's listening. If he's going to get sexually attracted when the Quran's being recited, either he doesn't understand Arabic, right? Because because that would make him shake and not think about that, which is what he should be. That's what it means listening to the Quran, so it affects our hearts. Or the disease is in the heart, and that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains it in the Quran in regards to women as well. Yeah. In regards to women, in fact, speaking. And the issue of is the woman's voice awra or not? Those who try and use a verse in the Quran. Talking to Ummahat al-Mu'mineen in Surah Al-Ahzab. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَا تَخْدَعْنَا بِالْقَوْلِ فَيَطْمَعُ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرَضٌ وَقُلْنَا قَوْلًا مَعْرُوفًا. Subhanallah. It's there. It tells you everything there. You don't need to go off into tangents. So it says, and do not, تَخْدَعْنَا بِالْقَوْلِ can in simplest terms mean saying to Ummahat al-Mu'mineen, this is being directed by the way. You are not like other women. Then Allah says, do not, superficial translation means do not lower your voices in speech. Some said, do not lower your voices in sound, but actually it's saying bil qawl. And it's not lowering because you can't, lowering your voice is to do with sound. Lowering your speech, it doesn't make sense. So khada'a here, also I found, and I was thinking over this for years actually, I kept on thinking, it can't just mean lowering your voice. Don't lower your voice. Women's voice tends to be lower intensity anyway. What's she going to do with it? So, and some came up with the idea she needs to speak like a man. I speak like that to a man so he doesn't get any attraction. It doesn't say that. You have to make, some actually said the woman has to make her voice masculine. Really, they did. And they still believe that. There's some تَخْدَعْنَا بِالْقَوْلِ Al-Qamus al-Muhit, one of the classical scholars of early language, says خَدَعَ فُلَانًا إِلَى يعني دَعَاهُ إِلَى السُّوءِ. خَدَعَ فُلَانًا. خَدَعَ here can mean lowering, but in this case I always thought it means talking in a way of how do you call it? I forgot the word, a blank. Not quite provocative, that's a bit strong, but to try and how do you say, induce? No, not induce. Entice, that's the word I'm looking for. Yes, talking like that to a man, don't do that. Yeah, in an enticing voice. Yeah, so, and yet when it says, and it's not voice actually, bil qawl. Qawl means enticing words. فَلَا تَخْدَعْنَا بِالْقَوْلِ. Don't use enticing words. فَيَطْمَعُ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرَضٌ. Even in that case, the problem's elsewhere. You know where the problem is? In the man. Yeah, so Allah's saying for the one who has disease in their hearts might be looking for some hope. So when you hear the woman reciting the Quran, the marad is there in your hearts. Yeah. And why is it that when you put it the other way around and the man recites, do women have no feelings? That's another problem with our history of scholarship. When you go with scholars, because of the male chauvinism, you get this feeling on every subject that you study, that women are like creatures who have no sexual desire or feelings, it's just men. They're just sexual objects, and men are just sitting there hankering. Right? So actually, the man reciting Quran can also produce feelings in the females as well. So why don't you put a stop to that as well? And here, وَقُلْنَا قَوْلًا مَعْرُوفًا, saying to the women, speak as you normally do. Ma'rufa means as normal. Here, not just speak. وَقُلْنَا means speak as normal conversation. In other words, you'll have to have normal conversation with men. It's actually saying it. Speak. And it's saying it to the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. Speak to men. And for them, screening came more than any other woman because they were never going to marry anybody else after Rasulullah ﷺ. So they were a special case. And even for them, it's Allah's ordering them. قُلْنَا قَوْلًا مَعْرُوفًا. Speak Meaning to the men, as you know, for normal things, just speak everyday things. Are you allowed to speak to the opposite sex? The Quran is saying, yes, you are, even for Ummahatul Mu'mineen. So what about the Quran? Zayyinu Quran bi aswatikum. Beautify the Quran with your voices, male and female. The Prophet ﷺ in one hadith in Bukhari, the Prophet ﷺ says, "Ma adina Allahu li shay, ma adina lin nabi an yataghanna bil Quran." That Allah, and adina here is listen. Allah likes to listen to nothing better than listening to the Prophet singing the Quran. An yataghanna bil Quran. Yataghanna, singing the Quran. Taghanna is singing the Quran with melody, and not which goes with beautify the Quran with your voices. Some tried to change that hadith because they didn't like it, which is not authentic. Zayyinu aswatakum bil Quran. Beautify your voices with the Quran. It's not saying that. It came in many reports. It's beautify the Quran with your voices. Yeah, and other hadith came to clarify that the Prophet ﷺ, like he said in this one, he's talking about in one version. It says, "Ma adina la li shay, ma adina lin nabi." Hasan is sawt yataghanna bil Quran. The beautiful voice singing the Quran. Singing the Quran. So there you have melody in actually singing of the Quran. It is a music. It is a melody. There's darb in it. Yeah? The Imam reciting, going up and down in the emotion, in the melody. It affects the heart. Yeah? And some ulama came to speak even against that. They said, "Oh no, this is ilham." Ilham is a word you'll hear. It is used, but ilham has multiple meanings. One of the meanings of ilham clearly is melody. But another meaning of lahan or ilhan is to pronounce the Arabic words incorrectly. Get the grammar wrong. Get the grammar wrong. Yeah. So if you're reciting and you're grammatically making mistakes, then you also are doing an ilhan. That kind of ilhans are acceptable, as much as you're able to. But the melody of reciting, you find it even with the adhan, don't we? In the hadith, the Sahabi who came, Abdullah ibn Abdul Rabb, wasn't told to give the adhan, was he? Even though he's the one who got the words from his dream. Prophet ﷺ said, "Now give those words to Bilal." What did he say? "Huwa anda minka sawt." His voice is more melodious than yours. SubhanAllah. Some try to translate that and say he's got a louder voice than yours. What? So he can shout louder? I'm sure Abdullah ibn Abdul Rabb could shout top of his voice as well if he was standing on a hillock as well. Nonsense. This is to do with melody. His voice is melodious. Now we come to the hadith. And I'm sorry I haven't put a translation in. For next time we'll try and sort that out, but it doesn't help you much. The first one, the Prophet ﷺ said, this is in Ahmed, Abu Dawud. These hadith are all authentic, sahih, which I'm going to mention now. ليس من الله إلا ثلاثة ملاعبة الرجل أهله وتأديبه فرسه ورمية بقوسه. Here, Prophet ﷺ that it is not from lahu, these things are acceptable lahu, pastimes. That's what he's saying, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are three things which are acceptable pastimes, lahu. Acceptable types of amusements and relaxation. What? Malabatul rajul ahla. Ahla here doesn't mean family. Playing of a husband with his wife. That means vice versa as well, doesn't it? Yeah? When you see the man playing with his wife being as part of acceptable amusement, it means the other way around as well. It doesn't mean say the wife's not allowed to play with the husband, it's only the husband playing with the wife, and she's just a recipient. And this play has wide meaning, brothers and sisters. From intimacy to leisure time spending, husband and wife, like the Prophet started racing with his wife, Umm al-Mu'minin Aisha. And you don't have to specify, you don't come from this and say from the hadith of Aisha, the only thing a husband's allowed to do in playtime with the wife is race, because that's what the Prophet ﷺ did. Do we? And I'll tell you, scholars do that. They'll do it when we come to some of the musical instruments. Just limit it for no reason, rather than getting the message from it. Even when it's saying 3, it doesn't limit to 3, because we also have in another narration which mentions 4. Anyway, the other thing in the narration is horse riding, training horse riding. Okay. The other, Ramyatu bi qawsi, which is target practice, if you can say. It's bow and arrow, but not before bow and arrow. Now you can use rifle. They didn't have rifle in those days. Yeah? Target practice. So can we add to this list? Of course you can. Of course you can. Where there's benefit, that's what the idea is. And benefit sometimes in benefit sometimes. In one hadith, which is also authentic, mentioned in the Shaykh and Tabarani, similar to this, the Prophet ﷺ said 4 things, not 3. And he mentioned there, walking between 2 goals. Anything for doing a purpose, in other words, a venture for a purpose. Learning to swim, he added to that. So you can add to that. No? If I sit, for example, at home, which I often do, I'm told, just like that at home. Men like doing that, don't we? We like to be now. I'm just doing nothing. This is called lahu. What? Is that haram? So we're reflecting. I'm maybe thinking of nothing. Sometimes I think of nothing, empty here, which is very easy. Just like that. 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Is it wholesome? No, it's not. It's natural, normal. This is lahu as well. Am I allowed to do that? Of course I am. Yeah. So we need to think of those. So the scenarios here in this hadith is showing you, again, this is to show you that interpretation of lahu al-hadith and lahu as blatantly and across the board being haram is against this hadith. And all the possibilities under the hadith of things that you can do which are useful. Now, in the same sense, even these pastimes are being mentioned, leisure time is good, I love riding a horse. Now if I ride the horse and gamble with it, it takes me to a different category. The horse riding is not the problem, is it? We must differentiate between the two to realize where the ruling is coming from. It is the gambling where the problem is. Yeah? Same confusion they run into in regards to chess and backgammon. Some who made chess and backgammon haram, they couldn't see that it became haram. Either it could be makruh because you're wasting hours and days of playing, right? Then it becomes under karaha, especially if it takes you away from other good things, better things you could be doing. But it becomes haram if you're betting with it, not per se just as an amusement. So this is what ulama need to think about where the situation, what is the situation here? What are we actually talking about? This hadith is in Bukhari and others. This is the most famous hadith, even though Ibn Hazm rejects this hadith as being authentic. The most popular opinion amongst muhaddithin is this hadith is authentic. But we need to understand this hadith with all the other ahadith of Rasulullah ﷺ, which we'll come to. The Prophet ﷺ was heard, the Sahabi is reporting, saying, لَيَكُونَنَّ مِنْ أُمَّتِي أَقْوَامٌ. There will be a people from my ummah, يَسْتَحِلُّونَ الْحَرَى وَالْحَرِيرِ, who will make halal adultery, silk, khamar, alcohol, and ma'azif. What's ma'azif? musical instruments. وَلَيَنْزَلَنَّ أَقْوَامِ إِلَى جَنْبِ أَلَمٍ. And there will be a people who will be descended to the side of the mountain. يَرَوْهُ عَلَيْهِمْ بِسَارِهَةٍ لَهُمْ. People will come, shepherds with their flocks to them. يَأْتِهِمْ يَأْنِي الْفَقِيرِ. The poor from amongst them will come to them for their needs. فَيَقُولُ. These people who are living at the side of the mountain, they must be rich and well off. They say, ارجع إلينا غدا فيبيتهم الله ويدع العلم ويمسح آخرين قردة وخنازير إلى يوم القيامة. So they will instead, for those poor people who are asking, they will say, come back tomorrow to us. And at night time, during the night, Allah will throw the mountain on them, destroy them. Others, Allah will change and metamorphosize into monkeys and pigs till the day of judgment. This is the hadith. This hadith is authentic. And what is the meaning in this? Firstly, this hadith is a khabar. What does khabar mean? It's information. It is not coming in the form of insha, they call it in Arabic, which is when the Quran or hadith comes and say, you must not do this. You must not do this. Right? Or you must do this. That's an order. You must not do this. That's forbidding. It hasn't come in that form. It's coming in the form of information. Not only information, sometimes you can have khabar, which comes in the form of a commandment as well. But that is something like الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض. That is an example of that. Men are but the protectors and carers of women, because what all extra Allah has given them and because they spend of their wealth on them. That is a statement. It doesn't say, men, you must be protectors. It's saying men are the protectors of women as a statement. But that statement, the way it comes, has the meaning of it's an obligation. And that's where ulama get the obligation of men being the providers in the Muslim family and household. They're not the women. They're responsible. In this case, however, it's talking about prophecy for the future. You do not find in any prophecy for the future something where a legal ruling is given. A legal ruling being produced in this format. If you look at each of the things which are mentioned here, and the ones who are against musical instruments, this is the main source of their evidence they use. They say, look, Prophet ﷺ said, يَسْتَحِلُّونَ. They will make halal. They say yastahil can only be used for that which is haram, and they're making it into halal. But that is not so. Because we have another hadith where the Prophet ﷺ mentions about a person, and this is a Sahih hadith in Ahmed and Tirmidhi. I wrote it in here. There's a rebuttal. Where the Prophet ﷺ says, يُوشَكُ الرَّجُلُ مُتَّكِئًا عَلَىٰ أَرِيكَتِهِ يُحَدِّثُ بِحَدِيثٍ مِنْ حَدِيثِ فَيَقُولُ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ كِتَابُ اللَّهِ فَمَا وَجَدْنَا فِيهِ مِنْ حَلَالٍ اسْتَحْلَلْنَاهُ وَمَا وَجَدْنَا فِيهِ مِنَ الْحَرَامِ حَرَّمْنَاهُ. In this hadith, Prophet ﷺ said, soon a person will come who will be leaning back on their cushions, and hadith will come from one of my hadith will come to him. And what will he say? He will say, between us and you is just the book of Allah. In other words, he's rejecting hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And he goes on to say, and whatever we found in the book from halal, istahlalnahu, we made it halal. In this case, he's saying whatever we found halal, we using the word istahlalnahu. So the argument, those who use that making haram into halal is the time that istahl, that form of word is used, is defeated. Because here, the Prophet ﷺ using it from halal to halal. So it doesn't have to be that everything that's mentioned that they're doing istihlal of is haram. You follow me? Some of you will follow me. It's a bit technical. It's to do with the word in making halal. Istahalla, the word. Okay? Istahlal. And they're trying to argue that you can only use it. It's only used when something haram is made into halal. But I'm showing you a hadith where halal is made into halal by the book. That's how it's being used in language. So you can't use that argument, number one. Number two, here you can't use this hadith because we don't get the fact that zina is haram from this hadith. Do we? It's in the Quran clearly. وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا zina. Do not go near zina. And other ayat about zina. Another hadith which make it clear that zina is haram. Not from this hadith. We don't get the fact that khamr is haram from this hadith. We already know it's haram in this hadith from other texts. Other texts. Silk. Silk is mentioned here, wearing of silk. Is it haram for everybody? No. It's halal for women. And can you imagine, when you put this together, and if you're going to accept it on face value, how is wearing of silk, even for a male, the same level of sin as doing zina and drinking khamr? Is it? For those who understand maqasid, they know, ulama with deep thinking, that sins are not all the same level, are they? They're of different levels. But here they're being put together all as one group, and look at the punishment. The mountain being thrown on in this world and being turned into monkeys and pigs in this world. It's a big punishment for just wearing silk. When the Prophet ﷺ for men even allowed it for somebody with eczema or skin condition, not for life and death reasons, just for discomfort. It's fine, you can wear it. So you've got that there in there. And it has a ruling for women which is halal anyway. Then you come to ma'azif. Now if you're going to say that this is making it haram, remember what ma'azif means? All instruments. All instruments. Then you're going to have to understand this hadith from other ahadith I'm going to bring you. That will make you realize that you cannot single out here the instruments here and they're haram because of this hadith. What it's actually saying, and it is clarified actually, there are other reports of it as well. In one report, these are also authentic from Ibn Abi Shaybah. The Prophet ﷺ said it's the same hadith with different words, which gives you a bit more, a more understanding of what's going on in the other one. سَيَكُونُ فِي أُمَّةِ الْخَسَفْ وَالْمَسَخْ وَالْقَذَفْ. There will be from my ummah, from the believers of the Prophet ﷺ. Yeah, metamorphosis, tough one. Yes, it's relevant. فَيَكُونُ فِي أُمَّتِي الْخَسَفْ, that's being swallowed by the earth. Masakh, metamorphosis into monkeys and pigs, and qadaf, that is the mountain being thrown on people. All the Sahabi saying, Qult, I said, Fima ya Rasulullah, for what reason, O Messenger of Allah? Qal, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, بِإِتِخَادِهِمْ الْقَيْنَاتِ وَشُرْبِهِمُ الْخُمُورِ. Because of them taking qainat are women singers and drinking khamar. So if you just take this hadith on its own, from this, when it's put with khamar, you could come to the conclusion that having women singers is haram. But look at the punishment. But you haven't finished with the other hadith to clarify now. This last one makes it even clearer. Here, notice, before we go to the last version of it, وَشُرُبِهِمُ الْخُمُورِ. Not istahlalna, but drinking khamar. They are from my ummah. And in one version it says, they say La ilaha illallah. But they're involved in this kind of thing, drinking khamar. And here, إِذَا ظَهَرَتِ الْمَعَازِفِ. When will this happen? When instruments and drinking of alcohol and wearing of silk will become rampant. ظَهَرَت. It'll be everywhere. Amongst who? Amongst his ummah. Look at the hadith context and then we understand the whole of the picture. That you have a context in which alcohol is flowing, adultery is being encouraged and happening, Yeah, and in that, some people are wearing silk as well, and they've mixed it with music. So that kind of setting, which is a setting of most nightclubs, yeah, is the setting which is being actually punished. So take the full picture. So those scholars who said this is not individually to be taken, it is taken as a full picture. And that's the only way you can take it. That's the only way you can take it. I'm going to put it to you, because we'll see from the other hadith, it cannot be from this hadith that it is singling out making instruments haram. You can only understand that by looking at other authentic hadith. Follow me? Here we have an authentic hadith reported by Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, the famous Mufassir. From the Sahabi, كان الجواري إذا نكهوا كانوا يمرون بالكبر والمزامير ويتركون النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قائما على المنبر وينفضون إليها فأنزل الله وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوها قائما. This hadith is mentioned by Ibn Jarir. It is authentic about the context of the verse to do with Salatul Jum'ah, where Allah SWT says, وَإِذَا رَأَوْا تِجَارَةً, and when they see business and commerce going on, أَوْ لَهُ, both in the same boat, or amusement, انفضوا إليها, they go rushing away towards it. So what happens in the authentic hadith, that it is mentioned that, like this hadith, that somebody is getting married, so Kan al-Jawari, the young ladies from the Ansar, are coming out with their double-sided drums and what else? Mazamir, flutes. They're playing them in the street because there's a wedding going on. So those sitting in the masjid and the Prophet ﷺ in the member is doing khutbah. They leave and come out to see what the commotion is going on. And in one report, which is also authentic, it was one of the Sahaba coming back after a business trip. And people wanted to know, Dehatul Kalbi, the famous companion, and people came out rushing where he's been, etc., etc. Same context. Firstly, the Quranic verse criticizing this is criticizing it because people are leaving the Prophet ﷺ at khutbah in Salatul Jum'ah to come out. That's what the problem is. Not the singing and the flutes and the drums, which are already encouraged by the Prophet ﷺ in other hadith for marriage, are they not? Yes. So when they're doing it here, what's the problem? The problem is when you leave the Prophet ﷺ standing doing khutbah, not any imam, the messenger of God. So the Quran therefore has a go at those who do that, but it doesn't leave it to musical instrument. It includes in that tijara. So ulama who said if you're going to use this to criticize music, then you better also say tijara and commerce is also haram, because it's in the same context it's saying it. Yeah. وَإِذَا رَأَوْا تِجَارَةً أَوْ لَهْوًا انفَضُّوا إِلَيْهَا, when they see business and commerce or amusement, both in the same book. So if you're going to make that haram because of this, then you must make the other haram because of it as well. You follow me? And we know business is not haram, but it becomes haram when Salatul Jummah is going on because of the context. Same with the amusement. Yeah? For the wedding especially here. But here it shows you also that flutes are being played as well as drums. It's not just drum. The flutes have not been criticized. It's what the purpose is. Okay, this one Ahmed and Abu Dawood. فَقَدْ رَوَى أحمد وأبو داود وابن Hibban as well in his Sahih, to collector of hadith and a critic of hadith. And Nafi, Mawla ibn Umar, very famous hadith from Nafi, who's a slave of Ibn Umar. Nafi is a scholar, reporter of hadith, the most famous chain going to Imam Malik from Ibn Umar, Nafi to Malik, the golden chain they call it. In this case, we're not on about that, but from Ibn Umar. And Ibn Umar سمع صوت زمارة الرائم, that that Ibn Umar, Nafi is with him in companionship. And as they're riding along, that Ibn Umar hears the sound of the flute of the shepherd. فَوَضَعَ أُصْبُعَيْهِ فِي أُذُنَيْهِ. He puts his fingers in his ears. Ibn Umar does. And he diverts the animal he's on, whether it's camel or horse, away from the sound. وَعَدَلَ رَاحِلَتَهُ عَنِ الطَّرِيقِ وَهُوَ يَقُولُ. And he's saying, يَا نَافِعْ أَتَسْمَعْ. And in another version, he keeps asking him, can you hear it still? So Nafi says, yes. So then he asks him again, a little bit further. Yeah? أَتَسْمَعْ. Until he says, لَا. فَوَضَعَ يَدَيْهِ. Then he puts his fingers out of his ears. When Nafi says, I can't hear it anymore. وَعَادَ رَاحِلَتَهُ إِلَى الطَّرِيقِ. And then he brings back to the original, the root of his animal. وَقَالَ رَأَيْتُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم وَسَمِعَ زَمَارَةَ رَاءٍ فَصَنَعَ مِثْلَ هَذَا. Ibn Umar says, this is what the Messenger of Allah did in a similar situation when he heard the shepherd playing the flute. This is what he did. Those who say the flute now is haram or music is haram, they use this verse. Those who say it's allowed strongly use this hadith as well. I'll tell you how. Those who say it's haram say, oh look, he's doing this. And the Prophet ﷺ did this. So it must be haram. Alright? That's one thing. And he's diverted his animal from him. Okay? Let's look at a different way. First with Ibn Umar, who's with the Messenger of Allah. Why is it that the Messenger of Allah is doing this and Ibn Umar, he didn't tell him to do this? Is Ibn Umar not Muslim? If it is haram, is it haram only for the Messenger, not for Ibn Umar? Why did the Prophet ﷺ not deviate and tell Ibn Umar also to do this if it's haram? Not only that, as Ibn Umar tells Nafi, Prophet ﷺ told Ibn Umar as well, can you listen out please? Why is he listening? It's haram. Yeah? He's listening. Can you listen out until it stops? It can't be haram, otherwise he'd be telling Ibn Umar, by the way, this is haram, you need to do this as well. And then Ibn Umar would have told Nafi the same thing. Is Nafi not a Muslim? He's a Muslim scholar, for goodness sake. So Ibn Umar doesn't tell him to do this either. Doesn't tell him to do this either. Number two, why didn't they, because if you can hear the flute, so the ulama quite rightly said, why didn't the Prophet ﷺ, and then after that Ibn Umar, go to the shepherd and say, Astaghfirullah, I've been sent to destroy flutes and string instruments, as you find in a very weak hadith. Why didn't he go and do that? And destroy his flute? Some, the ones who were opposing said, oh, well, it was a bit far away, that's why he didn't go. Come on, he can hear it. It can't be that far away. And if it's so hated and so haram, then you go and stop the shepherd as well. Or why didn't he clarify at the time to Ibn Umar as well? They didn't. So why did he do this? The best explanation for that is the Prophet ﷺ, as you see, similar situation with another hadith on the day of Eid. The Prophet ﷺ is in a different state. But he allows the Sahaba to carry on, including his wife. Same here, like Mu'minin Aisha that the Prophet ﷺ, his preference was to remember Allah kulla ahyana. كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يذكر الله كل أحيان. The Prophet ﷺ used to remember Allah all the time, sitting, lying, and you would expect that this is a messenger of God. So he's doing something, that's why the ulama suggest, if he's going along and doing this, he must be doing something better, and he doesn't want to be disturbed by the sound of the flute of the shepherd. And that's the best way to understand this hadith. Now we're coming to more and more interesting ones. So many hadith. This comes in many, many forms, this hadith in Bukhari Muslim. And as I come to this, let me clarify something else. There are various hadith you're going to see, and we saw one already. See that one? Kan al-Jawari. Jawari. This is a definition needed again. What is Jawari? or Jariya. Jawari or Jariya has various meanings. And I'll tell you what the meaning is in this case. Some of the meanings of Jariya can be used for a ship on the ocean because it comes from Jara, which means to flow or to sail along or to go along. So Jariya is used for a ship on the ocean. Jariya is used Al-Jawari al-Kunnas is surah yes, in Surah Takwir. Al-Jawari al-Kunnas, the plural of Jari. Jawari is the star which is going to set, is flowing in the direction of setting, the star that sets. And Jariya, in this case, he claims that Jariya always means, well, in all these hadith, means little girls. Little girls, which means not baligh. In other words, if they're little girls, they can do whatever they want. They're not answerable for anything other. So he'll try and use this translation here. But I beg to differ very strongly with that comment. And I'll show you why. Jariya can be used for an ama, who's a lady and adult, which is a slave woman. A slave adult woman, the word Jariya can be used for her. Yes, Jariya can be used for a little girl as well, but Jariya can also be used for a young lady. For a young lady. Why? So he will translate in this hadith, Kan al-Jawari, little girls were going along. I say no, young ladies were going along actually. Because the hadith that we're going to deal with now, here again, is the day of Eid. And it comes in lots of narration of this hadith. Very famous hadith, nobody can deny it. They try and get round it, but other ways. That Aisha al-Mu'mineen reports that it was the day of Eid, and two young ladies were with me from the Ansar. They were singing and playing the duf in the house of the Messenger of Allah. This house hasn't got 5 rooms. It's Aisha's apartment, Mu'mineen, where when the Prophet ﷺ used to pray, Aisha used to be lying in front of him. It's that small. And when he was to go down and sajda, he used to tap on her feet so she would put her legs up so he could go down and sujood. In that place, those 2 young ladies are playing the drums and singing songs. What are they singing? Nasheed? La ilaha illallah, la ilaha. That's, some will say that's all you're allowed to sing, Muhammad. No, they're singing songs from the Battle of Bu'ath. The Battle of Bu'ath is that which takes place for the Khazraj and Ansar, the Ansar, when they fought against each other before the Prophet ﷺ arrived to Medina in times of Jahiliyyah. That's the battle they're singing about. They're singing, that's what they're singing about. But obviously there's no shirk and wrong in it, but he's not praising Allah and His Messenger and all this. He's singing a song. And the Prophet ﷺ is in the same apartment, same room, and he's got his back to them. In one report he's lying down and he's got his head covered with his back to them. And Allah might say, because he's doing dhikr. He's doing dhikr. Abu Bakr, Aisha says, her father walks in and he's shocked with this. Says, Mizmar al-Shaytan fi bayt al-Nubuwah, fi bayt al-Nabi. The instruments of Shaitan in the house of the Messenger. Here, mazamir is being used in a musical instrument sense because they weren't mazamir, they were actually playing drums. Mazamir means flutes, so he's using it in an instrument sense. The instruments of, Shaitan in the house of the Messenger of Allah. So the Prophet ﷺ heard him say that. And keep this in mind, he used the word Shaitan. Prophet ﷺ didn't correct Abu Bakr on that, but he corrected what he was trying to do, which was to stop them. So the Prophet ﷺ actually took off the cover and turned around and said, Da'hum or Da'hunna. Leave them alone, Ya Abu Bakr. Leave them alone. This day is the day of Eid. Every people, nation has their festivals, and this is our festival. Leave them alone to carry. This report And another report, which is linked with the same day, comes at the end of this hadith and sometimes in a separate hadith. On the same day, in the mosque, Aisha Mu'mineen mentions that she and the Messenger were sitting down. Suddenly they heard a loud noise in the masjid of the Habash. The Abyssinians had come and they were playing and dancing, yasfinuna, jumping up and down and playing with their sword, their spears and their shields. And you know, when we've seen any Hollywood movie, how they make sound with their noise of their shields as they do their sort of folk dance, traditional dance. You know, they call it folk dance, dabka. Dabka they call it in Arabic. Dabkatul Sha'biyya. So for Africans, that's the kind of thing they were doing in the masjid. And we heard loud noise of Sibyan. Young children were also, around them. Because it's entertainment going on. So the Prophet ﷺ asked me, do you want to watch the Abyssinians doing their performance and their play in the masjid? And it was a day of Eid. And I said yes. And I was a Jariyah at the time. In one report, she says, I was a Jariyah at the time. What does that mean? If it means little girls, as he claims, it's not possible. She's already moved in with the Messenger of Allah and is a wife to the Messenger of Allah. So Jariyah is not limited to little girls. She's a young lady. She's a married woman. And she's saying, I was a Jariyah at that time. You follow me? So Jariyah is not limited to little girls who haven't reached bulugh and maturity, because she's already in with the Prophet ﷺ, living with him as his wife. And you know what? In one report, Mu'mineen Aisha, she says, فَقْدِرُوا قَدْرُ جَارِيَةَ الْحَدِيثَةِ السِّنِّ الْحَرِيصَةِ عَلَى اللَّهُ. SubhanAllah. And this is in the Shaykh Ahmed. She says, imagine the value for a young lady like myself of young age, for her excitement and desire to listen to amusement. That's what I was like. For amusement. She would use the word lahu here. Yeah? Harisati Allahu, eager for amusement. Wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying this. So when the Prophet said, do you want to watch them? Forget it being haram. Do you want to watch them? This is after they've been playing also music and singing in the house of the Prophet ﷺ. Music and singing. So how can then you make it haram when it's happening in Are you following Abu Bakr or the Messenger of God? Radiallahu anhu. Messenger of Allah corrected him and said, leave them alone. And then this is going on in the masjid of Rasulullah ﷺ. And Mu'mineen Aisha, she says, so he covered me, Rasulullah ﷺ, we stood at the doorway. Some said there was a curtain in the doorway, there's no evidence for it. We stood at the doorway and I had my cheek next to the cheek of my beloved, touching his cheek, like here, while I was watching the Abyssinians perform. And while they were performing this time Umar walks in. Before it was Abu Bakr, now it's Umar's turn. Seeing this happening in the masjid, jumping up and down and doing this with their shields and thinking, right? So Umar says, he's trying to stop them, telling them off. Even in one report, he throws pebbles at them. So the Prophet ﷺ sees him. He says, leave them alone, Umar. Leave them alone, Umar. And he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, دعهم يا عمر وإنا أنظر إلى الحبشة وهم No, that's sorry, not that bit. That's Aisha saying وأنا أنظر إلى الحبشة وهم يلعبون في المسجد وأنا جارية, when she says I was جارية. I can't find it now. The time. The Prophet ﷺ said, let the Yahud see, let the Jews see that in our deen we have fusha. في ديننا فسحة. في ديننا فسحة. It's probably comes. Anyway, that we have wideness in our deen. and I've been sent with the deen, which I mentioned earlier on, that is upright and liberal, samha, yeah, which is flexible and relaxed. I told you, I'll tell you the context it was in. This is the context he said that in. Yeah. So Umar is being corrected. Yeah. Leave them alone, let them carry on. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Until Aisha said, I got tired, and he kept asking me, have you had enough now? Have you had enough now? And she said, I carried on saying, no, I've not had enough, because I wanted to carry on being close to my beloved with my cheek. I wanted to take best as much as I could of that time with him. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and radiallahu anha. So some, including him, said, there weren't songs really. There were songs to do with war. And this playing in the masjid, it wasn't playing. They were training for war. Training for war? Why would the Abyssinians come all the way from Abyssinia to come and train for war in the masjid? Because he can't deal with the fact that they're playing and they're dancing. So he said, no, they weren't playing and dancing. They were training for warfare. Well, if they were training for warfare, why was Umar throwing pebbles at them? Because he could have seen they were training for warfare. He'd love it, actually. Umar would join in, wouldn't he, if it was warfare they were training for? Why did the Prophet ﷺ, who were training for warfare, say, let the Yahud see that we have wideness in our religion? What? Yahud don't train for warfare? Yeah? Why would he say that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that we have liberality in our religion? Why would Aisha say that imagine a young lady like me who has eagerness to be involved in amusement? Why would she say that? If it's to do with warfare. So this is trying to play games with the evidence in front and now try and dodge it somehow. So let's make it into a war thing, nothing to do with amusement. This is lahu, this is amusement. Prophet ﷺ, here's another one. Prophet ﷺ came back from a journey. When he came back, جاءت جارية السوداء فقالت. Jariya, a black woman came, and in one report it mentions it as woman, interchangeably with Jariya. And that report's authentic. So you understand Jariya can mean woman. Yeah? Who came, she said, Ya Rasulullah, inni kuntu nadartu in raddaka Allahu salihan. I made a vow that if Allah brought you back safely, that I would play the drum, yeah, and I would sing. The Prophet ﷺ said to her, if you made that as a vow, then go ahead. But if you didn't make a vow, then don't go ahead. We know from other hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, there's no fulfilling of vows in ma'siyatillah. If you made a vow for something which is haram, you don't say, I've got to fulfill it, do you? So if this was haram, why didn't the Prophet ﷺ stop her and say, no, you can't fulfill your vow, it's haram. A woman's going to sing for, everybody's there. Everybody's there, not just the Prophet ﷺ, okay? So she started playing the drum and singing. Abu Bakr came, she carried on playing the drum singing. Ali came, or Uthman came, carried on singing. Ali came, same thing. Then Umar came. As Umar's coming, she quickly threw the drum underneath and sat on it. فَأَلْقَتْ الدَّفْ تَحْتَ أُسْتِهَا, under a bottom. That's like saying, literally saying that in the hadith. Put it under a bottom and sat on it. فَقَالَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَيَخَافُ مِنْكَ يَا عُمَرُ. Oh Umar, surely even shaitan is afraid of you, Umar. And he explains to her. So this is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then we have here دخلت على أبي مسعود وقرضة ابن كعب وثابت ibn Yazid. This is a tabi'i reporting that I came upon and entered upon 3 of the Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وجواري يضربن بدف لهن. And the young women were playing the duf and they were singing for those Sahaba. The women were singing for the Sahaba. فقلت, and I said, you're the Sahaba of the Messenger of Allah and you're allowing this to happen? They said, one of them said, إِنَّهُ رُخِصَ لَنَا. In one version they said, if you want to stay, stay. If you don't, off you go, hop it, mate. we're okay with it. The Messenger of Allah allowed this for us, especially in the case of in wedding, and it was a wedding then, and he also allowed us to cry during for the death of someone without lamenting. This also hadith gives you about something about crying. Another one, this is about the Prophet ﷺ. A woman came to the Messenger of Allah, and the Messenger of Allah said, "Oh Aisha," and Aisha is with him. "Do you know who this woman is? Atarifina hadihi. Do you know who this woman is?" She said, "No." The Prophet ﷺ said, "Hadihi qayna bani fulan." She is a professional singer from such and such a tribe. She's a professional singer. She's known to be a singer. Then he didn't say after that, haram to her, she'll be going to hellfire, may the Satan's take her and tear her to pieces, etc. blah blah. What did he say? He says, "Aisha, would you like that she sings for you? تحبين أن تغنيك؟ قالت نعم." Aisha said, "Yes." قال صلى الله عليه وسلم فأعطاه طبقا فغنت. So they gave her a plate, again to play melody with. This time it's not duff, it's a plate. Anything that you can play some melody with, and she started singing with this. And the Prophet ﷺ then said, قَدْ نَفَخَ الشَّيْطَانِ فِي مِنْخِرَيْهَا. Surely shaitan is blowing down her nose. So that links with shaitan being mentioned by Abu Bakr, and we'll come to why this is being mentioned here. Yet the Prophet ﷺ and Aisha are watching. Yeah. So music and singing haram. How can the Prophet ﷺ actually is asking the singing woman to sing? In another report we have, and I'm running out of time, I just want to mention that what was also famous at the time, and we have here's another one. The Prophet ﷺ came upon a marriage, and he sat in a place, and the young ladies started playing with the drums and singing songs for the people who had died at Badr, and then those I mentioned to you before already. That's about the Abyssinians, which I've already mentioned to you. This is about another one. Young ladies in the street who are playing with the drums and singing, and the Messenger of Allah goes by them, and they're singing, "We are the neighbors of Bani Najjar," or "We are the girls of Bani Najjar." Ya Habbada Muhammad min Jar. How wonderful it is to have Muhammad as a neighbor. And so the Prophet ﷺ said to them, "Allahu ya'lam anni la uhibbukunna." So surely Allah knows how much I love you. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Not break this and break that. Also, men singing. The men singers were especially famous for doing huda, which was camel riders. And it was famous in Jahiliyyah, and it carried on. It was encouraged at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam going to Khaybar. There's authentic hadith. There was a man who was singing. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked, "Who is this Amr?" He was famous for singing these songs. And he said the songs made it easier for the journey and made the camels go easily on their journey and go to a rhythm. So that's what they used to do. It's called huda. So the Prophet ﷺ, when they told him it's so and so, because his poetry he was singing was beautiful, and the Prophet ﷺ said, "May Allah have mercy on him," in this authentic hadith. A singer. In one version, there's a singer called Anjasha who was famous. This is authentic hadith. And the Prophet ﷺ had his wives with him, and he was leading their camels. And Anjasha singing with a beautiful melodious voice. So now the women are listening to the man singing as well. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Wayhaka, rawaidak ya Anjasha." He's saying, "Whoa, take it easy, slowly Anjasha, because you're leading on the camels like glasses." He's describing the wives, the ladies on camelback, like fragile glasses. Because some ulama said it's because they may be emotionally affected by the beautiful melody of Anjasha. So he meant in that metaphoric sense that you might emotionally affect them. But he didn't stop him, even if you take that interpretation. He didn't say, "Oh, you're going to cause a fitna for the women on the camelback, you better stop, it's haram." He still carried on singing. He's saying, just Others said it means that the camels were going too fast now, and on the holdage, the women were going this way and that way. So he said, just take it easy with your singing and slow the camel down. So that's all there as well. Those are all authentic hadith. And I'm not going to have time to go through all the non-authentic, and there's loads of them. There's about 70 odd very weak and fabricated hadith. Those that I've given you are full of times, outside Eid even, and of men singing in front of women and women singing in front of men. True? Both are there. Both are there. And that's important to get the full picture from the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All the hadith to do with weak and fabricated are the famous ones you'll hear about the messenger coming to break the string instruments and break the flutes and break this and break that, and lead being poured in the ear of the one who listens to music and singing. None of them are sound. They are not just weak, they are very weak or fabricated. Yeah? Lots of them, and I've given some examples in the book. As I said, I'm not going to have time to. Somebody who listens to music and singing, 2 shaitans are sent to dance on their shoulders, and they keep on dancing on their shoulders until he shuts up, until he stops singing. Again, not authentic. So, and anything to do with string instruments and to do with instruments, all these to do with tahrim, haram, and signs of, and warning of the fire. Some mention the one who sings or listens to singing or music, their salah is not accepted for 3 days. All this are in this category. Imagine if somebody sang and then for 3 days they carry on praying, it's not accepted. Nonsense. So, I'll stop there, as I've gone well over the time. Sarah keeps telling me at the back to give you a break. And I'll try and conclude, inshallah. Is it a conclusion next session, or is it? But there's a session and then conclusion, isn't it? So I'll try and round up things, how I bring them together and then conclude, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لكم ولكم.